What do you think would happen if you abandon a child constantly? If you neglect them, neglect their needs, and do not take care of them? If you beat them up for the smallest mistakes that they make and you're not kind to them at all? What do you think they'll do? They'll get disconnected from you. Now imagine your inner self being that child. Assalamu alaikum everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Nida and I help people get into their self-love, self-development journey through sharing my writings, my experiences and everything in between. So let's get started. Today I wanted to address something that is extremely important that we often forget. As a self-development creator, my main focus and my main aim is to help people accept and embrace themselves for who they are. That is why I actually created this channel, because I wanted to share everything that benefited me. The most important part about getting into your self-love or self-development journey is to reconnect with yourself. And trust me when I say it, it's so important, and overlooking this thing will literally cost you a lot. Not in terms of money, in terms of your mental health and your development journey as a whole. Sadly, a lot of people disconnect with themselves. And when that happens, it not only costs them their mental health, also harms their relationships, their friends, other things that might be important to them. So today we will be talking about how to get back to yourself, how to reconnect with yourself so that your self-development journey becomes a little bit easier. Now, reconnecting yourself has to do everything with the things that you ignored, which led you to get disconnected yourself in the first place. So it's important to address these things. It's important to learn and know what these things are so that you do not continue it further in life. So what I figured out was that the number one reason that we get disconnected from ourselves in the first place is because we try to do things that do not align with ourselves, with our inner self, with the values, with our belief systems, especially when we are trying to please other people, when it is not for us, but for everybody but us. It can be anything. It can be saying yes to some things that you absolutely hate. It can be going out when you want to stay in. It can be doing things just because of peer pressure. And I know that it's not easy to say no all the time, but if it costs you your peace, it's not worth it. Because as long as you keep betraying yourself, as long as you keep doing things that you know that you don't want to do, that go against your values or your belief systems, you know who you're going to hate, not other people who force you to do those things, but yourself, because you allowed them to force you. But what happens after you do all of these things? Like after you feel disconnected? I notice the most common thing in people who get disconnected from themselves is that they feel foreign in their own body. They feel alienated from themselves. Like it's when you stand in front of the mirror and you cannot recognize the person you're seeing. That is what happens when you feel disconnected with yourself. You start comparing yourself with others. You start to develop insecurities. You do not see your good points. You do not see your good qualities. You undermine them. And most importantly, you start to lose trust in yourself. And when you lose trust in yourself, any decision that you make, any action that you take is not fulfilling, because you do not trust yourself completely. You do not know if what you're doing is right or wrong. So that was about how we get disconnected and what happens when we get disconnected with ourselves. Now let's move on to the main focus of this video, which is how to get back to yourself, how to reconnect with yourself. The first and the most important thing is self-awareness. And I've said this before like a million times. Journaling is literally your key to get aware about yourself. If you want to know yourself, if you want to be aware of your emotions and the actions that you take when you are overwhelmed, the best thing to do is to journal. It'll help you assess yourself and analyze all the things that you have been doing. So go journal about the thing. It can literally be about anything. It can be about a sad moment, a happy moment, or however you feel. See, when we get disconnected with ourselves, there's literally so much in our brain, and there has to be a way to release all of that. And writing it down is one way to do it. So journal about it. Try doing meditation. Try doing calming exercises. Try taking a walk in nature. And walking in nature is one of the best way to calm down yourself, because it is just so soothing to be near the most natural thing, which is like trees and plants and nature. The second thing is self-compassion. Tell yourself that it is okay to make mistakes. Stop beating yourself up for mistakes, because mistakes are a learning experience and not something that you have to be extremely embarrassed about. Yes, I know sometimes you make mistakes that are not so good, that cannot be overlooked easily, but if you, the only person who's gonna stay with you, if you, the only person who's completely aware of yourself, if you are going to beat yourself up for mistakes, what will the others do? Also, setting boundaries is also a very good way to be compassionate with yourself, because sometimes there are people that we should not engage with. And as mean it may sound, but it is the truth. Sometimes there are people who do more harm than good to us. If we allow them access to ourselves, no one but we suffer in the long term. It might be an awkward conversation, it might get uncomfortable, but it is better to do the things that are necessary now than to regret later on. The third thing is self-forgiveness. I've already made a video about it, but self-forgiveness is so important, because how will you even accept yourself if you cannot even embrace your mistakes? If you cannot even tell yourself that, okay, I did something wrong, but now I'm trying to do right. I'm trying to get on the right way. So forgive yourself. What is the point in holding on to something that will only harm you? Last thing is doing things that bring you joy. And I recommend you to actually get back to hobbies that you liked as a kid. For me, painting was it. I used to love painting, but then life happened and I stopped. And when I started my healing journey, the first thing I did was to get back to painting. It actually brought me so much joy, because it was something that made me happy in my childhood. So it made me happy now as well. It can be anything for you. Painting, writing, reading, maybe crocheting. I like to crochet as well, but it can literally be anything. If by chance you do not have a hobby from childhood, just grab a new one, learn a new language, just do anything that makes you feel fulfilled. The goal of all of this is to help you spend time with yourself in a positive and fun manner, so that ultimately all of this will lead to self-love. If you want specified videos, you can watch this video about self-love, or you can watch this video about self-forgiveness, or you can watch this video about self-perception. That brings us to the last part of this video, which is action plan. So I started this new part where I will give you the literal steps you need to take in order to implement everything that I tell you. So the first thing is journal prompts. Now I want you to do it for at least a month. The first journal prompt is, what is something that is holding me back from connecting with myself? It can be a habit, it can be people, or literally anything. You just need to write it down, and write it down in so much detail that it becomes so clear to you, so that you can take steps to avoid those things. Second journal prompt is, what is one thing that I can do today to make myself happy? It can be the smallest task, like literally just sitting in peace for a while, just not scrolling on your phone. Next thing is affirmation. You know, I am such a big fan of affirmations, so I have just jotted down one affirmation that you need to tell yourself every morning while looking in the mirror, or when things get difficult for you. And it's so simple, you do not even have to learn it. Next time you make a mistake, tell yourself, I am learning how to be better at whatever thing that you're doing. And maybe the first time it won't work, the second time it won't work, the third time it won't. But if you just constantly tell yourself that I'm learning to be better, I'm trying to learn things, I'm trying to become a better person, trust me, after a while, you will literally feel it. The third thing is fitting in one hobby in your week. No matter how busy you are, just try to fit in one hobby and do that for at least 3 days in a week. It can be anything, as I mentioned before. It just has to make you happy. And the last thing is digital detox. We are living in the world of social media. Like literally everything is on social media. You're watching my video on social media. But when you're trying to connect with yourself, when you're trying to do this inner work, it is very important to have time to yourself, to not do things that distract you. So try a digital detox for at least a month. If it's too long for you, at least for 15 days, so that your mind can put everything else down and focus only on yourself. That is it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something from it. If there's any other thing you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments. Till then, stay safe.